Okay, recording has started. Yeah, so the thing about Google Plus is because it's meant for writers, it would be your longer articles. And the thing that I noticed is that you guys create the same content and you like put it across all platforms. So
Yes.
that's the first thing that I would recommend to change is, know your audiences within each area and work accordingly. So Google Plus, you would put your long articles, and you guys have some really great content that you could reuse there
Hmm.
and then have someone do, a brief YouTube that would drive them to that Google Plus because the YouTube and all of the hidden. Do you guys know about YouTube? The stuff behind YouTube?
You know what? I don't know that we utilize it a whole lot. We do some webinars,
Mm-hmm.
but those are hosted through a specific educational webinar website, because like educators can tune in and then they get basically credit
Oh,
for
sure,
that.
sure. Yeah.
So we do it through that site, and then we have started getting into like some of the Facebook Live stuff,
Mm-hmm.
basically just promoting some of our more popular blog posts.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really as far as we've gone into video. We haven't done much else, so we really don't have a presence on YouTube, and I'm not sure like what we would necessarily put in there, but I think
Well,
we're very open to it.
let me tell you, this is a bonus round because are you the social media person now? Is that going to be your responsibility, or you're like
You know what? I think
you
partially.
can see it
So like,
coming?
yeah, the Facebook group I think is really kind of my main focus. But as I said, the person who was doing most of the social media
Yeah.
direction has left, so I think that that's kind of going to be. They're also this is funny, but I'm like a millennial, so I think that they're like, oh, Kelsey,
Yeah, you should
why
know it
don't
all.
you manage this over? And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of my job, but I'm not doing it exclusively either. And though I have some background in social media, I've used it for very specific types of organizations, and this one's just a little different. So I kind of just wanted to get an expert's advice.
So let me give you the umbrella look, and then we can drill down to Facebook because they're all kind of interrelated. And for you guys to have the presence that you want on social media, I am more than willing to say, "Whoop, this is all of what I learned. Use it how you want. Use it or abuse it. You could run your social media, and I'm telling you, like, it could be a kick-ass social media in under an hour a day. And the hour a day would be the big days, right? So not every day would be an hour because like you already have this amazing content. So you go to Google Plus, and I know that you have all these Facebook Lives. So if you download your Facebook Live and upload them to YouTube, it's new content. You link it to your Google Plus that's related to it, and then you've got this like crazy wheel spinning on the Google end of things. So that would be something that you could do. Literally, you could do like Mondays and Thursdays, where you're just putting up some Monday. And I love themed days just because I don't remember unless there's something going on, right? So
I
like
think
Monday,
everybody loves theme days.
yeah, well, I
You
mean,
know
and
what
it's
people
out there and
say.
they got the hashtag, so you might as well use someone else's genius, I think. So,
Right.
you create your days and where you do it. I don't think you can schedule Google Plus, but it is well worth the effort to load it because you already have all of the materials. You can just start repurposing it. Some would say regurgitating, but let's say repurpose because it sounds better. So you can start doing that now where if you've got 20 Facebook Lives, download them and then start uploading them on like Mondays or Wednesdays or whatever, however they apply. Because you guys have a broad base where it's like technology, special needs, English as a second language. So you could take one of those days. Monday would be special needs, Tuesday would be English as a second language, like that. So that people would know to come look on those days. But the thing that you want to do is have like your Google Plus content, which would be linked to your YouTube content, which would be pulled from your Facebook Live content. It's all the same stuff. It's just used
Mhm.
differently so that it would pop up on different days because you're going to get different audiences for that.
Okay.
So then the thing about your Facebook is you've got this page that really seems to, you guys really put a lot of heart into it. You have 1,000 followers, which is a decent number. You can take your Facebook page and link it to a group. I can tell you the pros and cons of it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'll tell you how I use and abuse it, which works out really well. If you guys have a team that is doing your Facebook page, which it looks like you do,
We do.
then all of those people speak as one voice into the groups that you link it to, which is really nice. So you can go on Monday and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. you guys just would need to have a strategy that everyone agreed to so people weren't just doing their own darn thing.
Right.
We've had some experience on the your own darn thing end of the world. It's not a lot of fun. So, that's the big plus. The big minus is then everything that you do in the group as Kelsey will show up as your page.
Mm-hmm.
And so any admin activities that you do, it will be hard to tell which of your staff members has made that happen. So
I think the group, so like our Facebook page, we really have a team running it. There's 3 or 4 of us that post to it pretty regularly, but the group, I mean, part of, I think, the role that they want me to have is that I am in charge of the group. So I don't know that we would have a lot of people posting throughout. I think it's mainly going to be me. There might be like 1 or 2 others, but I think in general, like for the most part, it'll be me. And if not, I'll know exactly who did it because I probably said, I'm out of town today, you do it,
Perfect.
So I think luckily we won't have too much of an issue there. When we already created the group page.
I saw you have 7 members, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just like, I mean, it's the office. We are the 7 members.
That's a great way to start.
Well, yeah, we all wanted to see it, look at it, start, putting it together. And we didn't want to invite people until we had a strategy because I don't want to pull people in and then not give them any content. You know what I mean? So.
Well, and it's not just content. It's what is your philosophy of this? So the one thing is branding. You guys are branded all over the place, so it's not a problem. It's just a matter of getting it to fit into the Facebook ever-changing graphic sizes.
Right.
So, and really, that's the totality.
We're working on that.
What?
We're working on that. I don't know. We've been having just a horrible time with the group cover photo.
Yep.
We've created it 10 million times exactly to their specs, to different larger specs, and no matter what, it compresses it and it looks pixelated. I mean, we're talking like using 300 DPI here, which is totally absurd for web, and it's still not working.
I don't think it looks pixelated on my end. I wonder if it looks pixelated on your end. Let me look at that, because I did not notice that. That would have been one of the first things I said to you, is like, you need better graphics. So I think
it does look a little bit better. We've been like continuing to fix it over and over and over again. But there's just a little bit, like, it's not even so much pixelated as just fuzzy, like it's got the JPEG artifacts that.
Well, it actually doesn't when I pull it up on my phone, and it didn't when I pulled it up on my. So
is that the Facebook page or the group?
That is the page, but let me go to the group. The other thing that I would do is downsize your pixel down here.
On the profile picture?
The Big Deal Media that's cut off. Well,
we're actually looking at rebranding that logo specifically.
Oh, really?
Yes, we are. But you're right. Like when I open it, it's huge, but it's kind of cut off, which is bizarre. So I think we can fix that.
Is it a secret group?
Yeah, but I can probably add you to it. I thought that I did. I apologize. Hold on 1 second. Let me add you.
Well, I feel special.
You should.
You're going to not want it to be a secret group, though. I understand why you have it as a secret group now.
Right. Let's see. Do I have to...
Oh, I have to be your friend. Let me accept your friend request. Okay, go ahead.
Or you can give me your email address, too, it looks like. So either way.
I just accepted your friend request.
Okay, great. Let me just refresh.
Are you like brand new to Facebook? Because you don't have any friends, or you have a second?
No, we created a separate account for me to run this, as opposed to running it through my personal account.
So I can warn you that if Facebook discovers it, they will shut down both your profiles and your groups related to it.
Well, so I'm working on developing friends on that one to make sure that we kind of cover
But even
that.
just having dual profiles, they shut people down.
Really? I know that.
Yeah, and it's an issue because the same thing, like I have 4,999 friends. Most of them aren't my real life friends.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's everybody here kind of did that. Like
it's bad. I'm just saying, like, take your chances. It's really bad practice. And one of the things that I do with Facebook is I help run their invitation only power group. So it's like the people that Facebook recognizes as power admins for groups and power page runners for groups. And so I'm in contact literally daily with staff at Facebook, and this is one of the things that they're really targeting, that. And so just be careful is all I'm saying. Make sure that...
That's really information. You know, they were kind of cracking down on that so hard.
They're cracking hard. The other thing they're cracking really hard on is... if you share your business page stuff into groups too quickly, you will get blocked from all groups and all commenting.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So there's a strategy that is a workaround. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it works. I've not been put in jail since I implemented it, because I was like, I've been put in jail multiple times for multiple reasons. Right. And I swear they test things out on me because they're like, try this. And then I went and did it, because one of the things they said is create this video, do a Facebook Live on your business page. I'm like, okay, I'm all in. Go and I create it, and they're like, now share it to your groups. I'm like, fantastic, did it? Then they're like, now share it to a group that you're active in, but you are not, you don't run. Fabulous, did that. Literally, it was 1, 2, 3. The third one, I'm in Facebook jail for a month.
Oh my
December, when we're trying to get soldiers' kids Christmas presents. So I'm calling Facebook bawling, and I'm like doing Facebook Lives. I'm like, you gotta get me out of here, and I'm shaking the bars. And they did, but they've never, ever, ever released someone from Facebook jail early. But I'm like, you guys have a glitch, because you're literally telling me to do this, and then I was put in jail 3 times. My group, and a group I was active on on a daily basis, and I got put in jail. So be very, very careful. The thing that you do is you post it to a group, and then go get a cup of coffee, do something else, come back and post it to another group, because it triggers the spam algorithm is the problem. So all that aside, that is not, I'm still waiting. Am I in the group yet? Oh, there I am. Yay.
Great.
Okay, so I am in. Oh, do you mean like the blue part is sort of pixely and soft and fuzzy?
Yeah, and like the smaller text. This looks a lot, like we really worked on it and it looks a lot better, but for this to be, like we've seen pages that have really clean, crisp quality, and for this not to work, like we can't quite figure out what's going on with it.
So,
and it might just be the way that we're saving it. I don't know.
How did you create it?
It was created in GIMP.
What's GIMP? That doesn't sound... Okay.
It's like free knockoff Photoshop.
Don't do that.
Not a fan, but...
Yeah, so that's probably it, is it's saving. Because I just created a ton of graphics yesterday, only to discover they were the wrong size because Facebook changed it again. So the one thing is when you're creating group or group or page graphics, you want to do a wide border of your color, which I see that you did that with the blue, which is fantastic, but also do it like literally box it in like an old TV set. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they'll cut out the sides, and then you look jacked up too, because like yours, my graphic filled the whole screen until it filled a screen and a half. The other thing is there's this fantastic website called Canva.
Yeah, love Canva.
It's a really great free thing because you can upload every image that you would want to use in a high res. And then save it, work in there, and then save it down as a JPEG, which is what I usually do, or a PNG. The other one that I love, if you're willing to pay the price, and I'm telling you, right now, it is so worth it. It's called Visme, VISME.co. So I think I pay $120 a month, $120 a year for that, and they have like infographics, web graphics, social graphics, publications, slideshows. But the thing that sets them apart is you have the ability to download it as a web HTML. So if you're doing a slideshow that you want to put up on your website or put up on your Google Plus, you can download it that way, and you download all of them in HD. If HD is at all available, you can download all of that as HD, so your graphics are as crisp as the raw materials you use to produce them. They also have a ton of free graphics that you can use, whereas Canva charges you $1 here, $1 there. And like there's certain things not available if you're not a pro member. And I did do their pro membership for a few months just to see what it was like. And I canceled it. I wasn't super impressed. Visme is worth it times a million. Like I would probably pay 3 or 4 times as much as I'm paying right now. If you guys are a nonprofit, you get nonprofit pricing too.
We're not.
Oh, you're not? Do you not have a nonprofit arm anywhere?
I don't think so.
Wow. I bet a lot of people assume you guys are.
You know what? I think that there is a little bit of assumption there, and there are nonprofit groups kind of in our space or in our industry, but we're more of a media company, just a media company with like a mission to help education, you know. So I can certainly see why people think that. We do have also not a nonprofit, but part of our company, we really have 2 sectors. We have Big Deal Media, which is all ed tech all the time. And then we have another site called Get Ed Funding, and that is a grant resource. So we curate grants from all over the world, really, and we have a really specific search custom search page where you can get pretty in depth with the criteria, and you can search grants that are, you know, very specific for your educational needs, you know. So they very much feed into each other, but neither is nonprofit, actually.
Well, that's really interesting. And so that Get Ed funding is just for education.
It is.
I'm going to tell people about you guys.
Oh, please do.
I have a lot of teacher friends that are always looking for grants and stuff like that. But the thing is, as you know, educators like to educate. They don't necessarily have the media savvy and the tech savvy to create the very thing that they need the most. So
absolutely. The great thing is we have so many resources for that. Like, that's one of those things that we really recognize. Well, I say we, but I'm still new. But our owner, Marilyn, she recognized that so early that educators, they've got so much to do. And yes, they want to improve the classroom and the progress and everything, but they need to know how to do it without spending the time researching it. So we provide all the information that they need. Here's how to find the grant. Here's all the information about writing the grant. So if all that information is laid out in front of you, it makes it a lot easier to just say, okay, I want to do this. I need this much money. I'm writing the grant. Here we go. We're done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, simplified, but
as simple as it can get anyway.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's easier than just typing into Google, like, how to get grant for school, you know, like, you'll come up with 10 million things that don't help you.
Yes. And I run a nonprofit, which is how I learned all this stuff about Facebook and social media, is like, I super backdoored into Facebook. I was a super fan early on. But it is now. My husband's like, oh, did you see that on Facebook? I'm like, no, Paul, because I'm running a business on Facebook. Did you see that?
I don't go on it much for personal use anymore.
Yeah, I mean, literally, no. My current personal use is Snapchat, which I don't get me started on Snapchat. But anyway, so that's how I learned about Facebook, is learning all this stuff. And people are like, oh, you should apply for a grant. And I'm like, when? And how?
Right.
And you have to find the grant. And then they ask all these questions that, I mean, I'm a pretty intelligent person. I went to college. I got a degree. I have no idea what they're asking for. Right. So I can only imagine
one of the things that we have is literally a glossary, because so many people were like, what does this mean?
Yeah, you guys must be.
Full resource on that, too.
Yeah. Seriously, I'm going to start telling people about you.
And you know what? We're always looking for, like, guest bloggers and things like that who are educators. So, yeah, definitely. You know, if you have anybody that, you know, you think would be a good fit, absolutely. Please feel free to send my information along. I
have a friend who helped create a reading intervention program in Naperville here.
Wow.
And the things that she talked about, I mean, again, she's an educator, I'm an accountant, so it's a whole different thing. But I'm like, that sounds like that's really impressive, advanced stuff that they're doing. And all she does is train. So if she would guest blog for you guys, or if she didn't know about you guys, if she found out about you guys, I think it would be a super awesome power partnership. Absolutely. And you know what? We do webinars and things like that too. And, you know, if we're really getting into YouTube videos, I mean, we could do something there. We could do a live, you know, we could certainly find a way to help her out, you know, through our social media channels as well. So, yeah, we're always looking for great people who are doing great things. Yeah, well, and yeah, that's amazing. I'm going to talk to her on Sunday. I hydrate a lot. I've got like 4 things here. Okay, So,
no judgment. My Coke is always close by.
Oh, see, my husband works for Pepsi, so I've got to do.
You know what? I'm a Pepsi person myself, but Coke is just more available around here. It drives me nuts.
So I was a Coke girl until the day he got hired for Pepsi. I'm like, Coke who? What? No, I'm good. Bring me Pepsi.
Yeah, I'm super specific. I like Pepsi out of a can, but I think Pepsi in a bottle is flatter than Coke in a bottle. So kind of depends on what's available.
And I like Pepsi out of a can, but I like Coke on the tap.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like those ones that have the spinning wheels where you can do like orange, diet, Coke.
Oh, right.
So bad.
I went to school downtown at Loyola, and they didn't have Coke or Pepsi. They had RC. And I was like, what? What am I supposed to do here?
That's from like 1970. No one drinks that stuff. I know,
like, who drinks RC?
It doesn't even have flavor. It's like colored carbonated water.
It's like the MySpace of pop.
Yes, it is. And you know what? I just saw someone had a MySpace. I'm like, I'll give you a little bit of background about me. So I launched this nonprofit 5 years ago with really the intention of not launching a nonprofit. I just wanted to send stuff to a soldier and his dog. But because at the same time the Army said, hey, I know your kid's in basic training. Let's lump all you crazy parents and family members who are missing your kid together. And they created the first Facebook group. We were the first Facebook group out of Fort Jackson, North Carolina, whose people were going together. So we were called like the 360 family. Well, while I'm doing this, I'm sending my kid stuff, and he's like, hey, Mom, can you send more of this? And I realized what a need there is for active duty members whose moms don't send them stuff. So I would like start sending him a ton of stuff. So he graduates, he comes back home, and I adopt a soldier and his dog, and I say something to the people who went through basic with me. I'm like, hey, you want to all help me do this? And between June, when that occurred, and September 11th, so less than 3 months later, it had eaten my Facebook presence, and I created this group, Military Mama Network. And, we're just chugging along. We're sending stuff. We're taking care of people. We're getting moms taken care of and kids taken care of and veterans, and kind of expanding our vision. And like you guys, clarifying it and tweaking it and dovetailing where appropriate. In the meantime, Facebook, and it was so funny as I was talking to a friend of mine today, Facebook emails me, and they're like, hey, would you apply for this summit we're having? And I'm like, okay, punked. Where's Ashton Kutcher? There's no way this is legit. So then they reach out again.
Facebook?
What? Yeah, exactly. What? So then they reach out again. I'm like, fine, whatever. I'll fill it out. I fill it out, and I'm like, hey, you guys should pick me because the next day is the fourth birthday of this thing that you guys are recognizing as powerful. So then they call me and interview me. All this time I think I'm punked. I mean, the whole entire time, because they don't tell me where it's going to be. They don't even tell us when it's going to be. We have like interviews but no people names. It's just a phone number from Menlo Park, and I'm like, if I didn't know it was Menlo Park, I'd be like, I don't know. So anyway, spin it out, and it was like the first ever Facebook Community Summit here in Chicago. And then because of that, a bunch of other stuff happened. But what I really didn't know was like all of this stuff that we're talking about, how much it is shown. And what you guys continue to do is you will continue to draw the attention not only of the people that you want, but really quite possibly Facebook people that would impact your ability to do it. But they keep trying out all this stuff and leading us to where really it's crazy, to where they're headed and what they want to do. And so for all of that stuff that we learned, like literally knew nothing, how you guys are going to be able to use it and impact it and maximize and like skip all the learning curves, like how to not get in jail. But I mean, it's just been a crazy ride, and with zero intention, So we'll see what happens. But I was telling you that for a reason. But I also have brain damage, so sometimes I forget, and I'm like, Dory, like what? Hey, my name is Dory. So
I have no excuse, and I did the same thing.
What's that?
I said I did the same thing.
Okay. That's what my friend's like. I don't even have brain damage, and I do that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. So anyway, so. Let's talk about, should you have a Facebook group? Is it going to be beneficial for you? So let me run through some questions for you, okay?
Absolutely. Fire away.
So can you commit to 15 minutes a day? Like for you guys, this would be the work week. It wouldn't necessarily even be the weekends. Do you know that you can schedule posts?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what I do is, I'm going to get way ahead of myself. I'm going to stick to my script. We'll go from there. Okay. So you can post and you can schedule, about that. And then you can create graphics because you're using GIMP.
Actually, I use Facebook. Other people here, or no, Facebook. I use Photoshop rather. I have it on my laptop, so I just bring that in. Other people here use GIMP just because it is free. But because we're having so many issues, I think I'm just going to pull in my laptop and use my Photoshop.
Yeah. The problem with that, looking down the road, is if you don't stay there as an employee, they lose their ability to create graphics.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I'll talk to you, Kelsey, but my thing is I'm talking to the company, thinking about the company as a large. So,
you know what, and I think there is one of the things that they want to know from our discussion, hopefully, is we realize that Facebook is not the free medium that people think it is.
Yes, it is.
And part of that is not actually paying Facebook, it's paying the other, services that you need to create a well-rounded Facebook page or group. So if that means that, we need to pay Visme $120 a year, that's fine. I think they just are looking for, what type of budget is realistic?
The true cost.
Right, exactly. Because Facebook saying, oh no, a group is free to create is not the real story. So I think that there is some budget there. It's just a matter of determining what we really need to spend and where we really need to spend.
Yeah. Well, so the thing about the group being, it isn't that Facebook isn't free. It's that all the people that have figured out to use Facebook, with really slick this, that, and the other. And a lot of it is the millennials and the sub-millennials or whatever, the people who came just before you, right? So I'm 55. I got on it day 2 because my nieces were on it for college, and we could share pictures, right? So the people who are how old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh my gosh, you're my son's age. Okay, so yeah, so I was going to say the 35 to 45 people who are super, because I'm atypical for my age. My age people are what the hell? But the 45 to 55 people that are oh my gosh, I can create all these slick graphics, and I can do, that's why that we have to deal with GIFs everywhere we go, and all of that stuff is because they realize we are such a visual society that it's not Facebook, it's the users of Facebook that demand us to up our game, right?
Yeah, so, very true.
I would try, for you guys, I would try Visme, or I would try Canva. Try downloading it in the highest res you can. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you can shrink it. Because the thing is, Kelsey, what I'm looking at for you guys as a group is longevity, right, and legacy. So I would not recommend you create them on your computer, because unless somebody else knows Photoshop, you get hit by a car tomorrow, God forbid, and you're out of the game. Then what?
Right. Yeah.
And, I'll tell you, the reason why I do that is because I went for a walk when I was pregnant with my son, who is your age, and I got hit by a bike, and I was out of the game. I went for lunch and never came back. Ever.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so stuff like that does happen. So, that's where I'm going to come in. I'm going to present questions and suggestions, not to you personally, but to your organization for longevity. So I would try starting using Canva. I would try framing it out more. Shrink your image. Because, the thing is, you can shrink your image to the middle or a little above center, and then do your mission statement below it. And then even if you have to resize it, it's easy to pull your mission statement out and shrink that up a little bit. Have the same graphic, and the nuts and bolts are the same. So I would try that on Canva, see if that would work. The other thing is that you're always going to have to look. And I'll give you the pixels, the so-and-so pixels by so-and-so pixels, the sizes of the graphics as they are now. But
yeah, they change so quickly.
I kind of twitched this morning because I got a thing that said Facebook app is up to date, and I'm like, what'd you do this time? Legit, what are you guys? Because I did a graphic last night that worked, and this morning I woke up, it doesn't work. It's
oh my god!
Guys, I have to resize it.
You're great, just spend 2 hours on that, right?
Exactly. But that's one of the things that if you guys contract with me, then you're going to get those updates right away. And you're not going to have to figure it out yourself, where as soon as I know it, you'll know it. And I know it pretty quick because of this other power group that I'm involved with. So that's the graphics. You can create them free. I would not use GIMP. If that's what's fizzling you out, just go away from it. And then the other thing that I found to be super, super helpful is, are you familiar with polls? Have you tried fiddling with some polls within the group and creating them?
I am familiar with them, and I think that I've used them before, but not here yet. Let me explain a little bit. So, like I said, I came in this is only I've been here a little under a month actually, so I'm
wow,
very new.
You are super new.
Yeah, but one of the things that they, I think, liked about me was that I had some ideas about moving things forward, and a lot of what we're doing, we've been doing for a long time. So I feel like we've plateaued in a way. So what they're hoping for with this change, this group, etc., is to move past what we're doing now. And I think that, sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought here. So I think that part of what we were doing, we've just been doing it so long, it doesn't quite look right. We are like last week, literally, we went from on our Facebook page from posting a title, a paragraph, the link, and then 10 hashtags, and then a photo, to making the photo like a clickable link. So it's just been a little stagnant, and I think that, part of it is updating that strategy and coming up with like what's going to work best to continue to move us forward. But there is some hesitation. I mean, there is one of the people who's been kind of in charge of the Facebook stuff. She feels like we're doing well. And we are. I mean, you said we have 1,000 Facebook members. That's pretty good. Or, likes or whatever. So she's like, well, it's working, so why mess with it? And I'm kind of like, well, but a group is a little different, and we need to cater it to that. So let's talk about how we can make it work best. And so, I mean, I think that everybody's just a little unsure of what the best strategy is, and that's really what we're struggling with, is determining what's going to make our group successful, because our page is not, there's zero reach anymore unless you pay for every single post.
Okay, but that's not true, but it is how you're using it. So my question would be, number one, do you guys ever go back and look at your analytics of your page?
Yes, we do, but I don't know that that data gets put into practice.
What do you mean?
I think that we look at it, and since I've been here, I've been looking at it, but I don't know that in the past they have taken that data and like made decisions based on it.
Okay. But can you tell, all right, so then we're going to back it up farther. When you look at the analytics, do you see that there's a steady growth, or have you guys plateaued?
Plateaued.
Okay. About how many new likes do you get a week? Are you tracking that at all?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I could give you probably, I think about I want to say 5 to probably 10 max, 5 to 10.
So that's 1%, 5%, 10%. Max. Okay.
Max. So, I think there are weeks when we get no new likes or 2 new likes. And we do boost posts fairly regularly, but
you haven't gotten much. That's not effective for you guys, right?
You know what it is. But here's another issue that we're having. For me, almost all of the information that we're putting out there is basically information that's on our website that we're trying to share. So it's something that educates people and teaches people. Here's a new blog post about this. And that's all that we post, is disseminating information. And if that's how you want to run the Facebook page, all right, fine. But that's not what a group is for. And that's kind of the battle that I'm fighting right now. And with that, you can see a big difference in what we post on the page that's boosted and that's not. The engagement, even the views, etc. If we don't boost it, we're not getting anything pretty much at all. And one of the most important things is clicking through. If that's what you want to put out there, the analytic to look at is that post driving people to view that blog post, right? Yeah. And even on the boosted posts, the click-throughs are not very high.
Okay.
So it feels like we're wasting money.
So
and I don't want to do that.
Well, you are wasting money on boosts without a doubt, because there's no next step, right? I mean, if your intention is only to get them to your website, they're doing that anyway. You can tell by your web traffic that, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, like, the blog posts are the most popular, so I think people are coming to it, but I just don't know what
how they're getting there.
we're getting out of it.
Can you look on the backside of your website and see how people are getting to? Because, like, I can look at my analytics on my website and say 80% is from Facebook, 10% is from Instagram, 5% is from Google search.
You know, we can, but I don't have access to that. I can ask them to do that and send it to you.
Well, no, I haven't sent it to you because that's a big decision point. I would, because if you're okay, so if your website traffic is coming from your email newsletters, or it's coming from your Facebook, it'll be Facebook in its totality. It won't be, but for now, this is a sweet spot for you guys to look at that, and they can go back. You can tell by within each blog post where those numbers came from.
Right.
And I would ask them to run those reports for you, even if they just pull it up and screenshot it, so you know. Because what you want to know is, you already know what your blog posts that are popular, but how are they getting there? Because right now, if it's Facebook, then your page is working. Or like for me, I've got pages that I follow that I don't necessarily click on their post, but I do go to their website because of their posts.
Right.
So again, but that would look organic. It would just look like I came in off of, Explore or Google. I would definitely check that. And the stuff I would do regarding your page is, if you already are looking at the analytics, look at when traffic is slow, I would stop boosting posts, because the thing that happens with boost posts is you pay $10, you boost your post, and it creates this artificial driver. And then what happens is when you don't post, and you're experiencing it, you've already observed it. Like, if I post it, I'm getting more, but not as much as I used to get. If I don't post it, I'm getting nothing.
Right.
Right, no interaction. So one of the things that you want to do on your page in preparation of really growing this group is you need to start doing lives in different voices. So I know you've got the one person who does lives, have other people within the staff do lives, have them do it from different places in the thing, have the lives be very well lit. Like, where you're at now is great. I can see you. I can see your background. I kind of get a sense of what your office is like. So for you to go on and talk about, Get Ed funding on a live, and then put a link in the first comment, or put a link in the description after you've finished to drive it. But the thing that you want to do on your page that isn't probably 100% isn't happening is kind of this organic reach. And the reason why it's not happening is because you're saying here, and there's nothing for them to say except thanks. So, if you start asking questions like, and it'll take a while, right, to build, but, as a English second language parent, what is your biggest challenge with school? Is it, and then give them some options. Is it social activities? Is it back to school nights? Is it dealing with vacations or school textbooks, homework, whatever, technology? Like, give them, you guys have enough experience from what you've created in content that you can ask those kinds of questions. And then you want to create this conversation on your page that's going to start boosting its visibility again. And so that's going to take you a lot of work. You're going to have to go into your analytics, see where you're low, start posting then, schedule the posts, do some polls, do lives, tell people you're doing lives, like do some Q&As. That would be a great way to get back and forth conversation. And something that's coming up now, like, oh my gosh, it'd be awesome for you guys to do now. I don't know if it would fit your thing, but they just had that walkout yesterday.
Yeah.
So this weekend, like, you could literally call it like walkout weekend and tell them today that you're going to be talking about, you're going to be putting polls up, you're going to be putting lives up, you're going to be putting stuff up. Like, let's just process together as an education community what the walkout meant in your world, what the walkout means in our world, what did it mean for your kids and stuff like that. Like, because you want to start using words like community, right, and family, and like ours is always, it's the mamas and men and network and hey fronts and stuff like that, where it's not And especially the community, because you want to create this really authentic buy-in. And you guys actually have an event that kind of lends itself to that right now. And in the meantime, you could use your group, since you're all there anyway, to start fiddling with, let's talk about this and let's run polls and let's see how it looks, because you guys can brainstorm and then you can go through and delete all that stuff before you start inviting people. You know what I mean? I would literally brainstorm 5 or 6 different ways that you can talk about, approach, discuss, unpack this walkout and what it means for kids. Like, was it different by area? Was it different by grades? What's their hope and how do we help them get there? Because that's your whole thing, is empowering educators. What is it like from the teacher standpoint? What about the superintendent standpoint? Holy crow. School board, I mean, you could do a lot of that and create some buzz on that, especially lives and polls. And then you can start tagging people who like your page and create them. Okay, so I'm going to put a button in that. You got all that?
Yes.
So every week you want to find an event that is unique to or impacting educators, and do that, and do it again and again and again, and literally just make that your focus for the week. And then start creating graphics. Like, this week's focus is, maybe it's, something that's going on with ESL funding, or, like in Illinois, we just got hit really badly with reduced funding for special needs kids whose parents are on public aid. They dropped like 2/3 of the funding that went to the parent. And so there's a lot of parents struggling. So how, as a network or as a community, do we respond to that? And how do we help our people unpack those things? You guys, you know that because you're all on the cutting edge. Like, I can tell you all the stuff that's popping off on the military. I'm sure you have the same thing with education. So find those things and start creating the community conversation. And I would call it community, or something very authentic feeling and sounding that resonates with you guys. You guys might already use a term when you're talking about your people. But I would not create it as a parent's coach. You want to bring them together at the same point where we're just talking, we're journeying through the same thing together. I just know a little more of the technical. Like, when I talk to people, I'll say, hey, I'm all in for helping you, like, on-ramp to military life, because I had the same questions when I started. So no question is too stupid. I said oorah instead of hooah, and I got yelled at by the Army moms. Like, I get it. I used the wrong tape. I did everything. And I literally tell them that story. Like, I remember when. So then they're empowered to ask the same question. So for you guys to be like, hey, I'm wondering, like, for me, it feels like this, or I'm sensing this, or my friends talked about this, or with my family, whatever. And, like, start the conversation from a personal standpoint and invite people in. That when you start seeing that kind of stuff happen with your page, and it's going to be, you're going to have to do a lot of lives. You're going to have to do a lot of polls. I would not pay for any more boosts, because what happens, this is like a rubber band diet with these boosts that you're doing, is you're paying to stretch the rubber band out, and then as soon as you stop paying, Facebook lets it snap back on your face. And you're seeing the zigzag.
Good analogy.
Thank you. So, okay, so anyway, back to your group. So then, do you have the ability to work within your group and the page? And it sounds like yes, especially because you have a team on the page.
Yes.
The buy-in for the page team is they're going to have to understand that those analytics really have to drive some of your decisions.
Yeah.
And they have to be willing to, feed the dog and let it get fat. You can't... you're not going to give it a bone and then next week it's going to be fine. Like, this is going to be a quarter probably with you guys just working it and working it and working it.
So do you think that we shouldn't make the group itself really live or available to others until we have the page in a better position?
No, I wouldn't say that, because it's two different things. What the stuff that I'm talking about for your page is to get visibility out there and get buzz again. The thing that's amazing about this group is, so let's just spin it out. Like, let's say you create this group, right? It's not about the graphics, Kelsey. You and I both know that. Graphics are nice, and it gives a nice presentation. It's about your mission and how you explain it. It's about your vision and your philosophy. What's this group going to be about? But imagine if you had this group launched a month ago, and then this walkout happened, and you said, hey, next week we're going to be all about this walkout. Let's talk about the possible blowbacks, the ramifications. How does your superintendent feel? What are you going to do? Like, what are your questions? What are your concerns? Like, if you had this group a month ago, you could have been, like, cultivating this amazing conversation before the walkout. And, there's going to be other stuff, so that's no big deal. But that's what the group is going to do, where your page is going to be like, hey, we're talking about it here. And the group is the here.
Okay. Sorry, let me make sure that I understood that correctly. So this whole discussion surrounding, say, the walkout or an event or whatever, and that, like, all of the polls, all of the questions, the lives, that is hosted on the group, and then the page is direct. Okay.
The page. Okay, so that's, because then you're going to say, okay, so you're going to do a poll, right? How do you feel about, let's just do the Bears, because I don't know enough about this walkout, because I've got grade school grandsons. So do you love the Bears? Do you hate the Bears? Do you have hope for the Bears? There is no hope for the Bears. We need a coach. Last year would have been, we need a quarterback, right? So there's your 6 poll choices, and they can pick up to 6.
Okay.
All that's doing is creating conversation and reminding them you exist.
Okay.
So on the walkout, it would be, I'm concerned, I'm not concerned. What walkout? Like that. And then you can say in the comment, we're talking about this in our group. Here's the link. And that's where you have
the group is like a continuation of the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So consider the page like your appetizer, but it's going to be this really juicy, colorful appetizer that's going to make them hungry for dinner. And the dinner is going to be in the group. So the group is going to be, I mean, this is my perception of what, from Ellen and what I've looked around to see. Like, the group is going to be the things that you would not want to necessarily discuss publicly. So it might be for ESLs, like, how do you guys as educators deal with kids who are afraid they're going to be deported or their parents are going to be deported? You're not going to have that on your page. But what you could do is say, is this a concern of yours? Yes, no. And then we're discussing it in the group.
Okay.
Or, do your strategy. Like, how do you do your back to school stuff? And then we're discussing it in the group. Like, everything that you're doing on your page, the next step is come to the group. So I think for you guys to have these like theme weeks or theme days where you're doing the public appetizer on your page and then saying, let's discuss it more in the group. But you're going to have to be willing to be the voice in the wilderness discussing this for a long time. The other thing that you can do is on your page, you've got some people who are super involved with different topics, right? So like, my daughter would be a special needs advocate. Like, she would be super interested in that. So then you tag them in the comments in the group. When you start talking about it in the group, tag your super fans. And this is, I mean, literally, this is what Facebook did when we went to the summit this summer. They called me and said, would you be a plant in the audience? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So then they said, we're going to send you some questions. Be prepared to answer them. And so they sent me the questions, and I was prepared to answer them when the conversation went dull. So when you create those plants in your group, immediately you have engagement, which means it shows up in someone's newsfeed. Does that all make sense?
Yes. I do have a follow-up question with that. One sec, I just got to finish typing this.
I could tell.
Okay. Quick question about notifications. So I, as somebody who is involved in many groups, one of the other people here said she felt like when you were in a group, you were basically getting all of the notifications. And I said, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure, like, from my experience, I've only gotten, first of all, the more I'm engaged with the group, the more I get their notifications. Exactly. And second of all, if there's a post that like 1 million people are commenting, sharing, whatever, I think I get that more than I get something that just pops up. Do you know anything about the specifics of that, or like what I need to aim for in a post to get that notification?
Well, so first of all, you need to coach your people that Facebook just arbitrarily sets all your notifications back to highlights only. They need to know that. And so for you as one of the lead admins on this group, you're going to have to check from time to time and see how that got set. Because I own my group, and it reset me to highlights only. And I'm like, no, I want to see everything going on in this group. So that's the one thing. You need to let people know that and make that part of your culture. Like, on every Friday, check your settings, or Saturdays, check your settings. Make sure that we're still highlights or see first or all notifications.
Post that within the group, or do you mean just explain that to my team?
Within the group. I would post it in the group. I would do a live when it seems to be an ongoing problem. And again, like if we end up working together, I would let you know, like, hey, this is a problem. You probably want to say something. Because there's definitely ebbs and flows to Facebook just doing weird things like that. But they literally just did that in like the last 3 weeks. I had to go on my page and be like, hey, y'all. And I tell you, our numbers, 2/3 were seeing our stuff, 1/3 was not, who had always seen it. Because my question that I asked them in a poll was, hey, if you have always seen our stuff, if you typically see all of our stuff, have you in the last week seen it less? And it was 2/3 it was the same, 1/3 was considerably less. Because I did less, substantially less, I don't see it at all. And those chunks combined. Mm-hmm. So it's a thing. So you're just going to need to educate your people. And the thing is, like, that's a benefit for all their groups. What groups do you want to ignore?
Right. Yeah.
The other thing is when you're doing a post, there's a drop down where they can turn on notifications, turn off notifications. You can turn on notifications for posts even if you didn't create it. So for that, for you as someone in the group, that's a case. For people to get the information buzzing out of the group into their notifications, it's all about engagement. And I tell you, the trick to driving that wheel so it shows up in other people's news feeds is comments within comments. So, I post, hey, good morning Monday, and then you post, I comment back to you, you comment back to me within the comment thread. So we're like having this conversation in the comments underneath the post. That's what literally drives more visibility than anything else, unless you've got all notifications turned on. So that's something that you guys can do as a team, right? You're talking about the walkout this weekend, and you talk, and then your 6 other coworkers talk, and then you go back, talk to person number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back. Number 2 talks to you back, 3, 4, 5. So then you've got this whole conversation, and you'll have 100 comments, and it will drive it out into your Facebook people's notifications. But the thing that I would say is, if you value this information about education, set this thing to notify about all posts, so that's not an issue anymore.
Okay.
Are we good on that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so then some questions that you want to ask yourself, and I'm just going to blow through numbers 3 through 6 because we've talked about a ton of this.
Sure.
What is the target audience for your Facebook group? What you might find in the over time is that you would split your group. So like I started out with one Military Mama Network group that was like all things to all people, and then somebody said, hey, can we have a prayer group? Can we have a private discussion group that's secret? Can we have one on stress? And I could see that very easily because you guys are kind of marketed that way anyway. I could see where those groups would maybe spit out that way. But in the meantime, to build your group, because that's really what you want, is I would put them all in one bundle, and then I would create events where you could have like Facebook Lives, and you could have chats just for like the ESL parents, or just for the tech parents, or just for the special needs parents, where it would be like, okay, Monday we're gonna go live for special needs parents, and then create an event, invite them all into it, so that like maybe the ESL parents would kind of ignore it, and it would all happen within that event, so that everybody else wouldn't have to see. The other thing with that, so you can sort of create these subcultures, is to create an event, and then you create a messenger group with all of those people. So say 50 people say, I want to go to this live or this Q&A. You create a messenger group, and you do a video call within the messenger, and all those people are on there. And then
does it save that like it would a live?
What's that?
Does it, like if you did a video call within the messenger, does that get saved anywhere?
No, that's the downside. That's why I like doing them lives.
Yeah.
They don't.
But it would be a good way to like alert people like, hey, we're going to be doing this on Friday in the group, Yeah,
I would create an event. I would create a public event on the page. I would create the same event or share the page event into your group. Because you can always share from page to group, but you can't always share from group to page depending on what your settings are. So share it into that. Or you can make the group a co-host, too.
Okay.
So you would have the page be the host and the group be the co-host, and then everybody in the group and everyone on the page would see it if they're paying attention, and you invite them all. And like you would just have to create a big buzz. I if I'm creating an event I want people to attend, I talk about it for an entire week, every single day, several times for a week. I create posts, I do lives, I create the event, I talk about it, I tag people, and I just keep until I'm like sick of talking about it. But some people are like, what? I never heard. I'm like, how could you not? It happens. So that's what I would do to create an event like that. So target audience for your group. What is the purpose for the group? So then the question for that is like, is it about sharing ideas? Is it technical support? Is it accountability? Is it a closed forum where it's just more privacy? But it would be...
Well, this is a really interesting question, and I think that this is probably the biggest problem. I think that the purpose of the group to the team here, and this is purely because I don't think anybody is super like Facebook savvy right now. I think that the purpose that they are creating this group is to get around the fact that we're not seeing engagement on the page. And that's really not a great purpose for the people who are involved. So
you mean the staff members or the recipients?
For the recipient, like the people who would
benefit.
Yeah, like the members of the group. Like, why would they be involved if all they're getting is the same stuff that's on our page?
Well, see, because that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like way back when we started talking, was stop doing that.
Right.
Like what you have on Twitter should be different than Instagram, should be different than Google Plus. It should be different. Like none of that should be the same because that's exactly it. Like why would they?
So because I'm coming from that, like where the purpose of the group originally was just to get around the fact that they don't have engagement on the page, like how could I shift that? Like what do you think the purpose of my group should be? Like what should I be providing to the members? Are your page people paid? Do they pay to belong to you guys? On our website?
Right, like how do they pay for that book? Is it all free? Like how do you guys make money? Is it ads?
Ads, yeah. So we provide a number of different free resources. We do ask on our website in order to see everything. We ask that they sign up for an account, but it is free. The only reason we ask them to sign up is because we actually do a lot of traffic through our newsletters. And then we have various sponsors and advertisers who pay to be in our print pieces, on our website, in our webinars, things like that.
Okay.
So like for us, we really want the action that would make the most impact for us would be for them to probably sign up for our newsletter because they would get access to everything. Yeah. We'd be pushing them content with our advertiser information on it, and it would help us grow our list so that when we're approaching advertisers, they see that we have a larger list. Yeah. So that's probably our goal, but that's also not a benefit to them necessarily. Sure. So, well, it isn't that they get the resources, and that's great.
That's a period. That is a complete period sentence right there. It is not a but because so you're looking at it from the inside out. Let me look at it from the outside in. If I'm signing up for a website and, like I listen to this podcast and I think the guy's on once a week, but he sends me email all the time with a lot of added value. And so even though I gave him my email, I'm getting a lot of knowledge from him. That's not nothing for me. Do you know what I mean? So for you, like it's those resources you guys offer for free because you have advertisers, that's a huge added value for families. Don't underestimate that. So then the purpose, so then you would want to do this group the same way where part of the on-ramp is to sign up for the newsletter. So the
how do you do that? Like, would that be within kind of those questions to ask before you're allowed to join the group?
Well, so you can do it a couple of different ways. One, you can make it a question, but as soon as you approve someone to join the group, the questions go away. So unless you're going to screenshot every potential ad and check them against your newsletter, which you're not, but you would want to use one of your questions. Hey, did you sign up for your email at this? And then put the link in because the link is live to remind them to sign up for your email. Then on your on-ramp, so they get in the group, right? Part of your welcome thing is, hey, welcome, blah, blah, blah. Don't forget we have all these free resources. If click on this link and give us your email. And then what I would do for you guys as part of your on-ramp to this group is part of your welcome would be some topical summaries of what they would get, right? So like go back into the last 3 newsletters and say, we talked about X, Y, and Z, so they can see why there's value. The other thing that you could do is have them sign up for your email newsletter, and then can that automatically get them into the member section of the website? You know what I mean? So it would be like a one-stop shop. Can you add them to the membership area of your website?
Yes.
Oh, but then they create their own password?
Yes. So like basically the sign up page is the newsletter sign up.
Right.
So you go to that page and you give us your information. We require a few things, and then at the bottom it's which of these newsletters would you like to receive, and then you click. I'm only interested in special needs. I want special needs, ESL, and technology, and that's how you sign up, and that creates your membership that allows you to see everything as well as sending you the newsletter itself.
But the real purpose is to delineate what newsletters they want.
Right.
So one of the things that you could do when they're joining the group is their on-ramp is they give you an email, right?
Mm-hmm.
You create... okay, so they give you your email. They go on this thing and they sign up. Have them... I'm just trying to figure out because what people do is they'll say, like, go to this website and sign up for this link and then come back. Well, then they're leaving Facebook and coming back.
Right.
I would rather say, this is what I would do. Sign up for your email in this link, right? So they're going to private message. Let me think about this. Because what I'm thinking is what I would want them to do is give you your email where they don't have to leave your Facebook group. And then everybody's got the same first password, and then they can just change it. Like their password is, I'm new here.
Oh.
And then you would get all of them captured right away. And that would be an added value, because then by joining the group, they're automatically members of the website, and they get the newsletter. But the thing about the purpose of the group for you guys, I mean, I understand what the staff is saying, right? The other staff is saying, like, let's sidestep the lack of this page. And it's a valid reason. There's a lot of people doing the exact same thing, but you don't want to tell your recipients that. What you want to tell your recipients, which is still true, it's not disingenuous, is we want to give you added value. We realize that we give you all of this value free, but do you need a safe place to discuss topics around education? Because then the other thing that you can do, and I do it with my thing, is when I create an email newsletter, my group is the first one to know about it. I post it into the group and say, hey, in case you missed it, this is what we're talking about this month. And, you could do that. And the other thing is, so you create different emails, right? You have an ESL email, a tech email, and a special needs email? Okay, so then in the group, again, like added value would be to create an event the day that the newsletter comes out and put the link to the newsletter in there. Do you guys use Constant Contact?
Yes, but we're looking at possibly switching to MailChimp.
Don't do it.
Don't do it?
Don't do it. Constant Contact is head and shoulders above MailChimp. Just for support alone. Like if you ever have a question with MailChimp, you'll never get an answer. Literally, you will not get an answer. Okay, so Constant Contact has this integration piece where you can share it onto social media. And so you share that onto your page, right? Share the page into the group. But what I'm thinking is, so then you would have 3 events each month or however often you put out your e-news that would be hot topics, ESL newsletter, hot topics, tech newsletter. Create the event. You can do a recurring event now, which is fantastic. I think you can do up to 24, but that may change. And then literally, like I do this in another group that I help run where I created an event. It goes for the whole school year, and it's like the 15th of every month for the entire school year. And then within that event, I did a check-in poll right away. Hey, I received it, love it, haven't gotten anything, I've got a problem, comment below. So you could do that. And then for the people who love it, you can go back into that event and call them out and say, what is it that you love about this? Or, I didn't find anything particularly helpful. But again, this is like culture building. It's months in the building, but it is definitely like, I'm telling you from the other side of this journey that it works. So creating those events, and it'll start slow, and it's sporadic too. It's like 1 month is great, especially if you have a hot topic that people are, and you can never really tell what they're going to be engaged on. It might be
right.
healthy lunches 1 month, and the next month they couldn't care less. They'll put squeeze bikes in there. So and just doing that this is how you're going to add value. Why are you adding value? Because you're giving them a place to land. They don't have to look for the newsletter anymore. You're giving them an opportunity to talk about it with people who share their interests. That you can't create on the page. And I think that's what I would go back and say. Like, it can't just be a sidestep for, okay, I've got a stagnant page, so now I'm going to have an active group. Because active groups, like, it's going to take some thought, it's going to take some strategy, and it's going to take buy-in from everyone to be willing to go in and have these conversations and tag people that they know to get the conversation going. And they're going to have to be willing to put in a good 6 months of, I call it grinding, where you're just talking and is anyone out there listening and create, because you guys are already creating the content. Most people, that's the hard part. And then the other thing, of course, is additional visibility, which you will have because the group will drive the page and the page will drive the group. It's very... Okay, so then the question is, for you guys, do you want to have a relationship with your group members? Because it seems like right now it's pretty one-sided, right? You send out an email, a newsletter.
And I think that this is a disconnect for the team too. I think some of the team members are feeling like we are the resource, we are the expert, and we provide the information, and they can do what they want with it, basically. Whereas I kind of don't feel like that's what social media is for. Right. So I feel like providing that platform and being less of a director and more of like a facilitator.
Yes.
Is almost it's where I think Facebook is right now.
Yeah.
But
social media across the board.
Time,
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that, so it sounds like you've got people in your camp here that are really like, they're the publishers. Like, I'm McGraw-Hill, here's a book. Come back next year.
Very much so.
Yeah.
We have people who are even, like, they literally made textbooks. And they are so knowledgeable about education and technology and everything like that. But I don't know that they, even just sometimes the writing that goes into a Facebook post, like, it's not the same as you would find on a blog post or an academic article, or, it's a different kind of, vernacular, sort of.
Yeah, I was going to say verbiage. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And link. And link.
And that's, if you scroll back a little bit, it's getting a little bit better, but you can see on the page, there are hefty posts with so much in them that, like, who reads that? Because it's too much. People skim. People don't read. People skim,
Well, so the thing about those hefty posts is you break them up. You go back, or whoever goes back and breaks them up and makes them multiple posts. And you do that within the group and be like, because I think that you could probably tell by looking. Okay, so let me double back. One is you've got some cultural work to do within your organization, right? That, one, this is an added value. Two, it's expected across the board. And if you want to adapt to the reality of living in the 2018s, 2020s, this is where it's headed. I tell you, the other thing is by 2020, I've heard numbers between 16 and 80% of everything taken in on social media and on the internet is going to be visual. So it's going to be lives. It's going to be really amazing graphics with voiceovers. What it's not going to be is words on a screen.
Yeah.
So that's a huge cultural shift. You guys are going to have to work through on that. But for them, what might end up happening that would be beneficial to your group is they give you the content and you create it in a user-friendly format.
Yeah.
So then they're going to have, I don't know what your job is, but that changes things versus just like copy and pasting some chunks of stuff.
Right, and I think that was kind of like, all right, That's what we decided. Like maybe the Facebook page might stay kind of similar to where it's at, but the group would be a little bit more developed and engagement driven. But if that's not going to help, like if we can't make that group work without changing the Facebook page too, then there's no point in putting effort into the group. So we need to kind of figure out like, okay, well, if the page is the appetizer and the group is the dinner, like, are we eating at two separate places here, or
right. Well, I'll tell you how we handle it, because Military Mama Network has a page. And what I call it is, this is our news brief. Like, this is what's going on in the world, in the military world. This is like our Red Friday reminders. This is events. It's super newsy with the intention of, and come to the group to talk about it. Very occasionally, I'll post into the page because I've got someone that does a great job for me. I don't have to do it. But when I was doing it myself, I literally would sit down. I had it scheduled. On Monday I did this. On Tuesday I did this. On Wednesday I did this. And then if there was breaking news, like we had a jet crash, then we would post something up that, the DOD hasn't released names. Please, stay posted here for any breaking news. But the intention of our page is news. And then the conversation happens. And it's been a very, very, very effective approach. I think it would work for you guys for the same thing because you've already got the news. So now, like, what of those pieces do you want to talk about? Like, if you're reading through those, what things pop out that would lend itself to conversation? Because the thing is that's the added value, right? Is you're developing community and you're developing, like a judgment-free zone to discuss education-related topics.
That's a really interesting thought there, judgment-free zone. Sorry. So one of the things that we were talking about a little bit is, and you mentioned this with the walkout too. I kind of want to circle back there as well. So traditionally, we've been very kind of academic about the way that we approach things, but in that, we weren't searching for engagement. So I don't think that we've done a lot of things that could get political. And in fact, when we have, we actually recently had a post on, a teacher's kind of standpoint on code red lockdowns. And what's happening.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it drove a lot of engagement, but it was very heavy on like kind of right-wing comments, and we were hoping for a more bipartisan look, but one person posts something and then their friends see it, and they may have similar ideologies, but we did have a little bit of discussion going on both sides, and but because it got a little too political, the decision was made to hide the comments.
When you hide them, they're not gone. Other people can still see them.
Who can see them?
You hide them. If you don't delete them, you're hiding them from you.
Okay. All right.
So if you want people not to see the comments, you need to delete them.
I knew there was something weird about it.
Yeah. Especially if people are still talking, like, why are they still talking? Yeah, and the thing is, but the thing, like, even for that, for the code red thing, the thing that would be awesome would be, okay, so we've had the more conservative approach. Now let's talk about the more liberal approach. What is the liberal approach? Like, even to start with that, like, if the conservative approach is, and I think, like, this is how I would talk about it, if the conservative approach says XYZ, right? Armed teachers, I imagine, is part of the conservative approach, right? Give kids guns and lock doors. Then what is the liberal approach? Well, you know who would answer that? Someone who's a liberal in education. And to get someone with a respected voice in the community to talk about that. But, I mean, there's a perfect example. It's funny because the next thing I was going to say to you, like, judgment-free zone, we're apolitical. Our position is, it doesn't matter who's serving as president. We support the president. We support President Obama. We're going to support President Trump. We're going to support whoever comes after Trump. We support the president because he's the commander-in-chief for all of our people who are serving. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about, like, which we didn't get to. So it's the relationship. We got to 5A. 5B is this going to be ongoing or a pop-up group? So would you create pop-up groups around specific topics or hot topics in your world? So it might be if you did a special edition. I'm trying to think, like, what would you do a pop-up that would not hurt your group that you're trying to grow? Because you'd lose it when you shut it down. Like a pop-up group, you archive it, the stuff's there, but you can't bring it back. So I think for you, I would use the events as pop-ups. That's what I would do. So say some big edict comes down from the Board of Education, Illinois, and there's going to be a lot of conversation about it. You could create a pop-up event instead of a group and get the same thing. But the sixth point about that is, should you even have a Facebook group, is, are you willing to create culture for the group? And you're kind of like, we're already almost there talking about it, right? Like, are you going to be apolitical? How are you going to handle political conversations? What are you going to do about, like, ours is a judgment-free zone, but it's also, like, no mean girls. Like, don't snark. If you can't state your case with respect, don't state it, and we'll delete you if you do. And so for you guys as a team to decide, because you're going to be the ones administering that, what the culture of your group and what the philosophy of your group is. What are the absolute deal breakers, and what is tolerable? What is your hoped for behavior? What is your intolerable behavior, and what's in the middle? Like that stuff, that would be the next thing after branding that I would spend time talking about, so that you're all unified voice, so that if you're not the only one administering this group, someone who doesn't agree with it is shutting down posts or snarking out or whatever. Like, you guys really have to be in full agreement, and I would beat that horse until it was dead.
Okay.
So then if you decide to create a Facebook group, what is the purpose? Who's the target audience? What type of group will meet your needs? Do you want a public, closed, or secret? If you're going to be talking about things like, I'm just thinking of ESL, special needs, tech, not so much, I don't think. But even if on the tech end you were talking about cyberbullying in school, the stuff that you're talking about, I would make it public for growth purposes. I would remind people on a weekly basis, hey, this is a public group. And then I would have a goal of 6 months from now, we're going to go to closed, so that people can speak freely. Because if you post in a public group, it can show up on news feeds. And if you're saying, hey, my kid's being cyberbullied, and it shows up on your news feed, it could cause more damage.
Yeah, I do think that our hope was to start with it closed, even kind of just keep it closed, because we wanted to moderate a little bit. A lot of the people who post on our page in response are not actually in the education field at all. And so that kind of makes things difficult when you've got people, giving their specifically, just as example, political opinion when they're not teachers. You know what I mean?
Are they parents? What are they? Why are they there?
I don't know. I can't really tell. I don't know. I'll have to maybe do more research. Kind of, or maybe one person is a teacher or educator or whatever, related to education, and commented, and then their friends saw it, and I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I think what we really wanted for this group, what our target really is educators and people in the education industry.
So that's one of your questions. That's one of your filter questions when they're joining. Ask them.
If it's a public group, do you still have that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do. You don't own a secret group. Secret groups don't have it.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure in a public and in a closed group you do. In a closed group, for sure you do. I'm pretty sure in a public group you can't. But, they roll them out. You may not necessarily have them. It doesn't mean that it's because it's a public group. It may be because Facebook hasn't gotten to you yet. But I think everyone's gotten the on-ramp questions. Let me double check on that. And then I would ask them a question that only a teacher would have the knowledge of. So, my husband works for Pepsi. What's your location number? You know what I mean? Is there a union that only teachers would belong to, or in the people? Think about how you would exclude trolls. For us, our we ask, where did your kids serve? How did you find out about us? What are you hoping to get from us? Which sometimes those answers are interesting. In our veteran page, it's, when was your DD-214 issued? Because that's the paper that they get when they're discharged from the military. So if they don't have a date for a DD-214, they're not really a veteran.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or what is your MOS, which is your whatever, or AIT, Advanced Individualized Training. Where did you train, and what is your training? For us, that's how we filter out the people who don't know, because they try to be throw numbers on a screen, like that doesn't mean anything. So think about that for you guys. What do you have that would filter out the people that you don't want there?
Yeah. I'm a little too new, but I'm sure that there's something.
I bet there is. I would bet money there is. And you can ask any teacher. They'll know what it is.
Probably.
I was going to follow up on the questions. On-ramp questions. I'm almost positive it's for closed and public. I know for sure it's not secret, which kills me.
You know what? I think the only reason we were thinking that we would go closed was because we wanted to keep it to just teachers. But if there's a way to do those questions in a public group, then that's fine. I don't think it would really make a difference.
Oh, you know, One, I know for a fact that you can, because I've got a public group that has questions. But let me just double check, because sometimes I think things aren't reality. Because that's how our veteran thing is, like, how do you... That DD214, that's an open page. We Heart Veterans. It's still a public page. About... Here we go. Admin tools. Settings. Yep. You absolutely can do it in a public page.
Okay, great.
And the other thing is that you can set to automatic membership approval, but that's other groups, so that wouldn't work. So some things that you could do if you wanted to just say with closed, you have these things, tags, that you would be able to use that would kind of shoot you out to Facebook, and the better you are at tagging it, the better your audience is. So it would be teachers, right, educators. Like for us, it's United States Army, United States Navy, United States Air Force, Marines, veterans. And when you start tagging, it's based on interests that Facebook already has populated. So I'm sure education or like higher education or, you know, computer education, and you can change those tags to target different people. So say at the beginning you just wanted to do real general. You were doing like elementary teachers, secondary teachers, ESL teachers, whatever. You could go back in 3 months and change it so that you're getting music teachers, teachers in Illinois, because you can also put locations if you want to target, say, the West Coast, and then you just make the location of your group California or, you know, Western United States, and then the same thing on the Eastern. So you can target using the geography and the tags to get to those people that you want. And then,
so very similar to like the Facebook ad targeting?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, great.
Except it's free, which is nice. And then having your people comment a lot will make it show up as a suggested group. The other thing that you can do is if you have other people that have groups that you're aware of, like school districts that you work with or other organizations that you work with, if they've got groups, they can recommend your group within theirs. And then vice versa. So that would be a great way. Like, I don't even know how many groups out there have us as a recommended group. And I'm never aware until the people coming in the group are like, yeah, because no one ever comes back and says, hey, do you mind if I recommend you? I mean, I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying, like, you could do it proactively, whereas I did it accidentally.
Right.
So that's kind of where I would sit, you know, for the questions that y'all need to work out and work through yourself. So that's what I got for you. I can tell you about packages and stuff, but I think really your work is to go back and be like, this is a culture, like it really has to be about added value. It really has to be about authentic conversation. It will absolutely do what your people are wishing it would do, which is basically recreate the environment of engagement on your page, with you already knowing that you've got people that have this like great brain trust but maybe can't communicate it so well to the, you know, mere mortals. Start to create that content for the mere mortals, and I would start. So those are all the conversations that you can have, right? Like how you're going to handle the technicalities of it. We've already talked about how you can weed out the people who aren't teachers. And I'm sure that I'm 100% sure there's something like a DD-214 that teachers have.
I'm positive there is.
100% sure of that. How you can collaborate with other local groups to get them into your group. But the thing is, you want the educators, right? So that's going to be something that you're always going to have to say. We don't want the parents. We want the educators. We want the people who are going to use our product. The other place that you guys could go on and do like extraordinary work for getting membership is go to these moms pages all over God's green earth. Like Plainfield Moms and Moms of Joliet, and be like, hey, we've got this thing for educators. It's resources for educators if you're currently working in a school as an educator, because you're literally going to have to say it that many times to get it across. And then, and start doing that. Word will spread. If your group is as authentic and on point as I think it could be, I think in 6 months your group will really, really be humming. The only thing that other homework I would give to you besides like talk about the culture, how, kind of get over all that stuff, is look out there and see what Facebook groups are out there if there's anything like yours out there. So it would be like technical support for educators or, publications for educators or something like that, because that's what that would be your competition. I couldn't find anything, but I might not have been using the right buzzwords. Do you know what I mean? Like you guys might have different words than I do.
There are a lot of words that I was like, that's a thing. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Did you know that 21st century skills is a term?
Actually, well, yeah, because I've got a 10-year-old grandson.
Oh, I guess
who told me about that first was my brother-in-law.
For a while, guys.
What's that?
I said, we've been here for a while, guys. Like, can we get a new name?
Yeah.
It just seems funny.
No, because it's education and things turn slow. My brother-in-law was mentioning that at Christmas time, how frustrated he is with 21st century skills, and he just wants to go back to teaching chemistry. And I'm like, well, but you're 20 years into the 21st century. But he's like 2 years from it. I'd be real interested to see how people like him would respond to your group, because he's 2 years from retirement.
Oh, wow.
So like I've got my grandson's school, super young. My God, they're young. Like his one teacher, I'm like, I don't even think you can shave fully. Like I think it's gonna be a while before you get a full beard. Great teacher, super young, great ideas, and like the passion is phenomenal. But the two of them, you would never know that they were in the same world the way they talk, because Mr. Billiard is in his first year, maybe second year, but I think this is his first year teaching, and Steve's got 2 years till he's done. You know what I mean? And like, how do you guys then serve that population? Do you do a pop-up? Oh my gosh, like I'm so excited for this. I hope you guys do it. Like, do you do a pop-up event over the summer while schools are hiring new teachers? And really, that's when I would pay for ads, is to shoot them out there to new teachers, like to K-12 certificate people, and like ISU or whatever the schools are now that are really strong in education, where you can target ISU graduates and be like, hey, we've got all of this stuff for you as a new teacher. We would love to offer you this value for how to shortcut into all the amazing things that we have to offer you. Like, that's pretty badass.
That is cool.
And like for what you could do, and then like how is it different for like private schools to public schools? And oh my gosh, like you guys could have so many things going on.
Well, let's talk about that briefly. So I know that one of the things that kind of came up, I don't know if you talked about it with Ellen or with Marilyn. So are you like interested in being involved in this? What's kind of the role that you would be interested in if you are interested, or, where do we stand after this conversation? How can I help you? I want to make sure that I deliver your message to Marilyn, because let's be real, I don't make the decisions here. Yeah. But I want to pass it along.
Well, so you guys would be my first client, because I've been giving this stuff away for a really long time, and I literally am just launching a business. So I don't know.
Well, that's so great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was very reluctant. People have been bugging me for 6 months to do this, and finally I'm like, fine, I'll do it. Because I won this contest to have like a coach help me from idea to launch, and I'm like, I don't have an idea. I just help people with Facebook. And she's like, wow. And she's like hammering me. Yeah. So I will have some packages, but I think that for you guys, really, the one-on-one thing would be the best because you could come and be like, this is what's going on. So what I would say to you, like offer to you guys would be, I will help you launch the group and like identify the group and help work through these conversations where we would come back and like, okay, now let's just talk about, this time for 1 hour, let's just talk about culture setting. And this time, let's talk about pop-up events so that at the end of, 10 hours of conversation, you have, or 6 hours of conversation, you have 6 really strong areas to move forward and then circle back. So that would be my offer to you to do that. And then, kind of tweak it. Like, let's talk at the end of the month. Well, how do you think things are going? Where are your concerns? Because really, you would be on a bat phone with me for 6 months. Because I want you to succeed. And I think this is an extraordinary idea. And I loved what I saw. And I'm not even an educator. I'm just like a grandma, So I think that for you, what I would need for you is to shift those cultures on your people to be like, this is about added value. It's not about sidestepping. It's about hand-in-handing. It's really about added value. It's really about integrity and authenticity. And I would literally walk you through how to create a really strong Facebook persona as long as you all do the work. You know what I mean? Like, you guys would have to do the post. And I can even walk you through.
So you're talking more of like a coaching level as opposed to like actively controlling the group per se.
Well, yeah, because I don't know what your control points would be, but what I would be doing for you is to be in there and be like one of your planted audience members. You know what I mean? Especially because I don't know your specific content. I could not go in, and I would do you a disservice to be posting stuff. I don't know if that's really a value. You guys know it's a value, but what I can do is be like, too many words, create a graphic. And like give you these parameters to say, do this and do it every day for 3 months. And then let's talk about how that looks. Right. But It really, the front end for you guys is going to be creating culture within your organization, creating culture and deciding to a person that this is the culture of our group and the purpose of our group and who we want, who are our end users, because your end goal is to grow your email list so that you can get your, advertisers to pay more or to buy more or to be more, right? To get more advertisers, to say like we've got 10,000 on our email list. So our eye is always going to be every new member joins the email list because you get added benefits. And when you do that, we're going to send you this. We're going to send you a zipped file of the last 6 months of our e-news so you don't have to look for it. That would be an easy thing to do. So that's like keeping with that in mind, like we're adding value here, here, and here so that we grow our email list so that we can get more advertising dollars. But they have to buy into that because if they don't, they're going to self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And then how this dovetails into your other social media. Like I think all those really long things, put them on your Google Plus and feed that back into your group in pieces. And then I think all of you guys start doing lives on your page about things, even because Kelsey, if you sat down with me and we did a split screen and we talked about the walkout in my town, like let's pretend I actually knew what happened, and we're having this Facebook Live and we're just talking you and I, and other people are coming in and they're observing because it's live, it's getting more stuff, and because it's at a time where people would listen. I would think probably 9 and 10 o'clock at night is probably your sweet spot, or early in the morning, because I would bet the school day it's kind of dead.
We actually have a decent 3 to 4, 4 to 5 because teachers are done with school. If they want to check their Facebook and stuff like that. But I think also yes, later at night as well.
So what I would expect would be 3 to 4 is a check-in, but for real engagement, it's going to be in the morning or at night. Where, because you and I do the same thing, right? Like, I'm going to get off this phone, I'm going to check my Facebook, but I'm going to sit down and do Facebook later on tonight. It's a different engagement level, and it would be interesting to check that. You can, and I tell you, here's how you can check this, Kelsey. It'd be a fantastic thing to do. Do lives at your 3 peak times, right? So you're 3 to 4. Let them know, like, hey, I'm going to come on next Wednesday and talk about something. I mean, really, for you guys, it could be like prom season, spring break. Something that would, by nature, get engagement. Maybe like, what are you doing over spring break?
Right.
As educators, or what do you think of the new CEU requirements, whatever. Something that you know is going to get engagement, and do a live, and do it the 3 times, right? Your 3 top times, and see which ones get the longer stay. Because when you go back behind and you look at your video analytics, you'll see people that were there for like, I think it's 10 seconds, 25 seconds, 3 minutes, and more than 75% of your video. So you can see where the drop off is at the different times, and then you can take that information and start doing lives where you're just talking with somebody else, some guest blogger, about whatever their blog post was 3 months ago, and then put the comment in the comment, post it, so they go back to the original blog, and then just do that, and then be like, this is the kind of stuff we'll be talking about in our group when we launch it April 1st, or this is the kind of stuff, and then do that. Like, gosh, I mean, you guys really would have an amazing opportunity, because all of those lives that you do, you can download and put up into your YouTube channel.
Right. That's really cool.
That's super cool. And then I don't know if you know about like SEOs and hashtags and all that crap from the backside. Like all that stuff, like I went to a seminar, I know all that stuff, so I would just hand it off to you and be like, hey, this is how you translate your lives to your YouTubes, and make sure you do this before you load it up to YouTube, because it matters. You know,
right.
Keywords and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances that, I don't know.
This guy...
Think to learn.
And it's like, and the other thing is, like, you want a pyramid, your learning thing. I literally just decided I wasn't going. I was invited to St. Louis for a 2-day social media thing, and I'm like, yeah, I got more in this brain than I can process right now. And you need to like create a pyramid as an organization. Like, what's your top, and then get down to like where Google Plus might be your bottom, where you can just put stuff out there to keep it alive, but you want to focus up here. Like, get your Facebook page going, then get your group humming, then, you know, and do a lot of lives. Like, I cannot tell you, lives and polls get the most engagement, you know, and start doing it. But the other piece of it for your group, going back to your people, is who's going to be willing to do lives? Who's going to be willing to do live interviews with split screens? And don't have the people who aren't willing to do it. Ask them if they want to roll, or if they... I mean, I realize that you're not the decision maker, Marilyn is, but, you know, to know that, because what you don't want is someone who's like rolling their eyes or really flat affect when they're doing a Facebook Live. You want someone who's super engaged and drawing that other person out.
So we're actually a really small company. There's 3 of us who are full-time employees, and then the rest are pretty much freelancers and contractors. So I think that there are really 2 of us that would be very comfortable doing the lives, but I don't know that we'd have more than just the 2 of us.
Sure you do. You got all those contractors you just said.
Well, yeah, but they're not all, first of all, they're not all social media kind of people. Like, some of them are just editors that are, you know, editors. They want to look at, you know, their books or their files and not necessarily be on screen. And then, you know, I think I might, I don't know. One of the freelancers that does social media, she only does the like paid post kind of stuff. So I don't know that she'd be willing to do this, because that's not really her purview.
Right.
So
and what purpose? Like, the end question is, what benefit is it to your viewers? Nothing.
Right.
I thought you meant freelancers, like your editors, because I think that would be really interesting. Because you know what? You get an editor talking about his book, you might have to hit the mute button. You might have to end transmit because he's still going. And stuff like that, like even if, you know, like your guest bloggers have taught on a...
That's where I think we could really introduce some other people. Because, like, even if it's just myself and my associate Anne, if I could be screen sharing every other time with, you know, I could introduce this person, this blog, you know, guest blogger, and they can talk for 5 minutes, and then I say, hey, thanks, then at least it's not me on screen all the time.
Exactly. And they get a sense of... So it's not just that, like, they get a sense of the personalities of people working there, which helps your know, like, and trust factor.
Right.
But the other thing is, it gives them a very quick view into who you guys are as an organization and how you work. So your guest bloggers and stuff like that. And the other thing is, did you know if you do a live from your business page, you can close caption it? Facebook closed captions it for you.
Only from your business page?
Only from your business page.
That's awesome. I had just kind of heard something about that, and I didn't really know anything about it, but that's fantastic.
Yeah, so you end a live, it closed captions. It doesn't do it while you're live. That costs money. But it closed captions it so that all your nighttime viewers who are laying in bed, they're reading. Because between 60 and 80% of everyone on social media now is on a mobile device. They're not going to be on desktop. But then the other thing is, so when you download that and you upload it to YouTube, it's already closed caption.
That's really nice.
It's sweet.
Is it editable? Like if it doesn't understand what I'm saying, can I go in and fix it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
There's
great.
a couple apps that don't edit, and it's ugly because I don't enunciate necessarily the best, so it comes off with all kinds of crazy.
Well, my partner, Anne, she has an accent, and it's fascinating, and I love listening to her talk, but every once in a while she'll say something I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I can imagine closed captioning getting a little odd at times.
I have a friend who's got a super thick Southern accent, and she doesn't think she does, but she says, choosing to rise. And I'm like, spell that, because that is not R-I-S-E in anyone's world but yours. So
Right.
and I'm like, do that on Siri. See what Siri hears. But Siri's so trained to her that it hears rise. So
My mom, she doesn't really have an accent, but she says, like she has one or two words that she just says weird. So she always says consular instead of counselor. And so, everybody's like, what? What? Consular? What's that? So, I mean, it's funny that, that's such a problem. Like, we all have different accents, but.
Yeah. Or like that. Like, I worked with a guy who said motorcycle. I'm like, what's a motorcycle? Until I realized he was saying motorcycle. I'm like, there's not an R in there, Joel. Cut the R out. But,
Right.
yeah. So anyway, I hope I gave you enough to, move the decision-making process on your end and, help you guys formulate a decision whether you want to even do it or not. And if not, then you do have some strategies. I'm sorry?
I said this has been so helpful.
Oh, good. Well, and in the meantime, you have strategies to grow your page while you guys are discussing it. So I would certainly start doing that, But the added value is going to be, like, I think you have no idea what you're about to step into. And I wouldn't say that to everyone. Like, Beachbody coaches, okay, that's great. Give me a recipe. But you guys have such a niche market and such an amazing opportunity to give educators a judgment-free zone that they cannot get, I would think, anywhere else, or it's really difficult to find. For you guys to be out there, it's going to be huge, I think.
I think it really could be. It just depends how deep everybody's willing to go, And I think that that's something that just hasn't been decided because nobody's really worked with Facebook groups in depth before. So, I think I have probably the most experience with them, and still, half of what you're saying, I'm like, ooh, that's new, So, it just is kind of hard to see the whole picture when you really don't know what the picture is.
Yeah.
So this is really great. And it really helps because, I'm doing research and everybody, other people are doing research and they have experience here and I have experience there. And sometimes it's conflicting. So having another person say, like, here's what I did and here's how it worked for me. And this is what I've learned from working directly with Facebook really helps us to know kind of what the real information is out there. As opposed to just, the first 5 things that come up when I Google how to do Facebook groups, Right.
And I tell you, like, the thing, when Mark was at this community summit in June, his thing was, we want meaningful conversation and community. And, and he took a lot of hit for it, but I was there and he did not say it the way the media presents it. He said it in a very humble, I feel a responsibility to create what seems to be, what is that word, eroding in America, where we used to hang out on our porches, right, or go down to the store or whatever, skate rinks or movie theaters, even arcades. Like, we don't do that anymore because people get shot. The fact of the matter is, I was talking to my admin yesterday, and she's like, yeah, I don't do that because they get shot. When you listen to these kids, I'm going to totally get emotional. You listen to these kids talk about, like, I'm afraid to go to school because I might get shot. Like, that wasn't anything I grew up with. It wasn't anything that you grew up with. But
No.
So for Facebook to say, and I know, like, Snapchat and all that, it's a whole different thing where, like, it goes away. But for our adults that are dealing with that kid who's like, I'm afraid to go to school, I have a stomachache because I'm afraid I'm going to get shot, or I go to the movies and I scan the theater now, it's a different world. And that was his take on it, was like, we have an opportunity to create these safe spaces where there can be really meaningful conversation on a screen. It's extraordinary, and I think with Facebook Live it only gets better. I'm a super fan. I will just own it straight up. I'm a super fan. It's interesting because Facebook flew a crew out what was it, a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, to interview me and 3 other people about how I mean, seriously crazy.
I'd love to see that.
Well, we're waiting.
Well, send me the link when you get it, okay?
Yeah, I will. So it was how to create a group and create group culture, all the stuff that we've talked about. When that comes out, I will certainly link you to it because I think it will help you guys so much. But the other thing is I have another like document that they created in Facebook land somewhere. And there's a lot of really good information there about being an admin and culture and stuff like that. So I will scan it in and send it over to you. It just gives you some stuff to think about, and I'm like quoted in there 3 or 4 times, but the people that are in there are as knowledgeable as I am, so it would be a really great starting point for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, to take the next step. So you know what, I'm here. You know how to find me. We're now friends on Facebook, and I'm going to download this video. I imagine it's going to take a while to buffer. Feel free to fast forward through the yammering part, and then I will send you this stuff, and just let me know what I can do to help, and if you guys want to work with me, I'd love it. It would be super exciting.
That'd be fantastic. Awesome. Thank you so much. Truly, this has been 2 hours of your life that you'll never get back. I'm so grateful.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I enjoyed it. A lot.
Good. I'm so glad. And I will definitely email you once I, look through this and see if I have any follow-up questions and start talking to the group. Talking to you has helped me see how much opportunity that we have here. And I think we just need to decide if we're going to take it or not, Yep. So I'm excited. I think we've got some good options in front of us.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with that conversation.
Thank you.
All right. Have a nice weekend.
So much. You too. Have a great one. Bye.